showcase our kids and our programs and let him see some of what we have in place to satisfy the new House Bill 5 and the new graduation requirements and some of the things that have been in place for a long time. And it's also an excellent opportunity for us to be a resource for Senator Huffines because we so closely mirror the state in terms of demographics. We're 40% Hispanic, 28% white, 22% African American, 7% Asian, 57% of our kids qualify for free and reduced lunch, and it's almost like the state in terms of our demographics. But we do great things, great student performance, great kids, great parents, a wonderful supportive community. And these are members of our PTA, and they are our greatest partners in what we do. They work with us each and every day, and they help our principals and our teachers and our classmates, and so they are here. And Senator Huffines, if you want, I told him we could be informal and he could just visit, or he could say a few things and take questions, but that's his, whatever feels comfortable to you. A great group of parents. Our PTA president is Morning Cambridge.
Oh, great.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you, and I apologize for keeping y'all being delayed, and I don't know what time I was supposed to start, but I'm sorry you guys had to wait. But congratulations on being involved with your school and your school district. I mean, you guys have a fantastic school district, as you know. It's really incredible the work that y'all do and what you do. But I really want to hear from you. I want to hear what you're looking for the legislature for, which I work for you guys, so I want to know what my bosses want me to be working on. So, y'all just start out. You got any questions, or you think what the legislature should focus on? I'm actually on the education committee in the Senate, and we met yesterday, just giving an update on what's happening down there in Austin. We met from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. yesterday. It was we had hearing all day, and we don't break. So when you have a committee hearing, you stay there all day. And so it's great, though. I love education. I love being part of it and hearing all the debates, and it's just a good. So, yes, ma'am.
Well, I was wondering, y'all are having discussion about a bill right now about special ed and gifted training requirements in college for teachers and majors. Is that correct?
On the Senate side, we haven't heard that one, I don't think. Do you know which number that is?
Maybe it's about to come up.
Maybe the House might.
The House, going from the House to.
On special
on special education requirements for teachers to have knowledge of how to teach kids with special
I don't think we have. We had one hearing related to school counselors devoting more than 10% of their time to non-counseling activities. So we would restrict counselors to 90% of their time to counseling.
Okay, well that's kind of what we have a special group here, SAGE, for special needs and gifted education. And it was just newly formed. It's only a couple of years old, but within the PTA. And we have concerns and would appreciate if you could support something like that for teachers to be trained in college and in the universities before, so that the districts don't have to train general education teachers how to teach special needs kids or gifted and talented kids.
Of the legislation to restrict special needs teachers for those students.
Well,
to especially train them.
To especially train them before they get to before they get their degree and come out to the school districts.
That makes sense.
Make it part of the curriculum.
On training in higher ed, or what you're saying, emphasis in higher ed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess one of the biggest things right now is those vouchers.
Vouchers. Yes.
Vouchers, and I had a child, one of four, that went to private school, but I'm against vouchers.
Okay.
And I think, one of the reasons he was ADHD and he was dyslexic, and at the time that he was going through in elementary, they didn't have the programs they have now.
Okay.
And if you take it away from the public schools, then there's going to be less here, and there's no accountability for those private schools. So I'm against it.
Okay.
I would agree.
We heard a lot of testimony, like I said yesterday, on both sides of that issue. So there's a lot of passion both directions.
Where do you think it'll end up? You think they'll pass?
I think that with the leadership right now in the Senate, on the Senate side, that you'll see something, I think, but might not, it's hard to say how senators are going to vote. Yeah. But I think we'll probably get some trial program related to tax credits or Senate Bill 276. I don't know how much detail you want, but that's taxpayer savings accounts. it will be something related to school choice coming out of the education committee, and how that clears the Senate, I don't know.
But supporting private schools and no accountability.
One thing that I want to make sure we understand the discourse is real good, is that everybody is committed to private education. Public education. Public ed.
Perfect.
No matter, and we heard a lot of testimony yesterday here on that.
Yeah.
No matter how broad, and I mentioned this staff before, that how broad of a choice program we have, that always 80 to 90% of the kiddos are going to be in public ed. So it's critical that we have a great public education system. And you can have the broadest, most open choice program like they have in the country, like Florida, but it has the biggest right now. They still have 85% of their kiddos going to public ed. So, and it's never going to be much more than that, no matter what you do. So people just want to go to their neighborhood schools. They want to be captain of the football team. They want to be on the cheerleading squad and all that. And that's what, public schools just do a great job. So if it's a niche, I'm talking 25,000 students out of 5 million. That would be what they're talking about right now, probably something like that. 25,000 out of 5 million. Which is 1/10 of 1%. 1/10 of 1%.
We also wanted to share with you while you were here some of the things that all of our PTAs do.
Okay.
And one of the reasons we truly value public education is because we have this support group that's there for all of our students. So some of the things we as Richardson ISD Council of PTAs do is we have a fully functioning clothes closet. So our counselors refer students to the clothes closet where they come to us and receive long winter clothes, summer clothes, new pairs of tennis shoes, socks, underwear, coats, and hoodies, as well as toiletries. Great. So we're able to provide these for our low-income families, where if they were going out of our school district, we couldn't guarantee that their social services would be there for those students.
Okay.
We also do a car seat program. On Wednesday, we gave 80 car seats away to families in our ISD. No, brand new car seats. And we trained them. We had 2 police officers, 1 bilingual.
How much is a car seat?
They range from, Laura, where are you? Laura?
The infant seats are about $50. The boosters are $30 to $45, depending on which style. And the no-back car seats are less than $20.
Y'all raised a lot of money. That's fantastic.
Right. So, and it's all
All from
volunteer.
donations.
It's all donations and all volunteer. We also do a prom dress boutique coming up April 18th for our high school girls that cannot afford prom dresses.
Well, that's a great idea.
We do shoes, handbags, jewelry, prom dresses for them. So we want you to know that by keeping our students in our public schools and supporting our public schools, you're also supporting all the things that our PTAs do.
Yeah.
And our PTAs across our ISD, and you guys can all be testament to that, do incredible things. And we wanted you to know that while you are here visiting our ISD, that there's more to us than what our kids are doing because we have this support system.
Fantastic. That is. Thank y'all. Thank you for volunteering.
Well, and I would just like to add to that we're able to do that and gather the parent support for those funds because those extra things. So if, not to belabor the voucher issue, but if more of those funds are going, elsewhere, then that's larger. Taking that gap larger. Yeah, then we can. We're still going to step up. We're still going to support. Public schools because we believe in that. But I'm just saying that gap gets bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand. I do. Yes, ma'am.
Well, my question is about funding and for the voucher program. If they were to introduce some kind of trial program, how would that affect the funding that goes into public schools?
What we talked about yesterday is the bill that's up is 60%. It's not my legislation, but Donna Campbell, Senator Campbell, it's 60% of what the state gets per student would go to the student, and 40% would go to public ed. Would stay in the public ed. So if the school loses a student, they still get, or the system would still get 40% of the money without the student, and of that student. So if it's $6,000 or $7,000, whatever that bid is, 60% stays with the kiddo, 40% stays with the schools.
And now it's 100%, right?
That's correct, but they wouldn't have the student to educate. So
No,
Well, never mind.
Yeah.
No. I'm sure mostly the problem with Texas right now, we had a lot of testimony yesterday, is how many new students we're getting how much the state's growing, which is lovely. But 80,000 new kiddos a year are moving into the system, and since 2000 till 2002 to today, we've added over 1 million students, which is more than like 30 states have in their whole school districts and their whole public ed system. So to take that pressure off is one of the discussions yesterday, to act as a little bit of a steam valve for the schools, is that choice system, which has worked very well in Arizona, and because there's so many more students coming in, it keeps their enrollment from having to go to the public ed and everybody constructing new schools. But anyway, that's just one of the arguments. Yes, ma'am.
Well, and I don't want to take us away from that. I'm passionate about that piece, but I have a question for you as well as about the counselors. With the new endorsements, I have boy-girl twins that are freshmen, and so I've seen as they come through what those endorsements provide as opportunities. I think it's great for all of the kiddos.
The counselors?
The endorsements that are for the graduation plans these
okay.
days that are part of House Bill 5.
Yes.
So, but what I see as a related item with the counselors is there are so many choices for high school students now. And for them to be able to make choices and really figure out what is their passion or what areas should they pursue, therefore what endorsements should they pursue, they really need those counselors to be able to provide that support to them. I think Richardson ISD is doing a great job implementing with the resources that they have, but I know it was a huge challenge this year, and there are many kids that don't receive counseling to be able to really determine what it is, and I think that's unfortunate. I think HB5 has done great work in creating those opportunities, but if we don't have that support to really help kids figure that piece out, it'll be a multidisciplinary, and really there's no change, and really it doesn't follow through in what I think the
That's a very
legislature
good
is looking
point.
at.
And naturally, I would not want to micromanage the districts and say that you got to make sure your counselor can only spend 10% of their time outside of counseling. I think, well, what's the legislature getting involved in that for? But then I hear, we got so many great needs for counselors, and then we really need them, and they're life changing. I mean, it's a very, very important position, and it changes kids' lives. So I think, well, maybe we should require it. So I am conflicted on it, and I'd be happy if you get your opinion. And I don't know what the superintendent thinks, but about counselors. But y'all think counselors should be mandated to spend 90% of their time counseling?
Yes.
Y'all do?
I do, and if I could comment on that. When you say counseling, it's also guidance. So
Right.
there's individual guidance and there's group guidance.
How many counselors per student do y'all deal with? Do y'all know how many?
We'll send that to some of the administrators back there.
Well, at an elementary school, there's 1 to
What about in
400
high school
right now.
or junior?
Do we have, at the last couple of years, added it to support for our counseling staff, and this next year, we're also making a proposal to change and repurpose a position for an additional counselor at each of the high schools. But it's something, when you look at our ratio, we're really fortunate when you compare our district to some of the other districts. We've got more counselors per student than some of our neighboring districts. But we do know that it's a tremendous need across the state for additional money for additional counselors across the state. In terms of flexibility, I think all of our counselors would tell you they spend 90% or more of their time with counseling. I think if counselors had to go and keep a log or
That was
time
an
and
issue.
effort
Yeah, we couldn't
or
figure
some
that
type
out.
of documentation, I think we would all embrace the local flexibility on that and the ability for our counselors to make those decisions professionally about where their time is. And they do spend, 90% plus in terms of counseling.
I think there's a lot of smaller districts where they have the counselors working testing and a lot of different other activities that the city.
We have testing coordinators, and counselors are involved to a degree, but we have tried to take some of that burden off of our counselors and let them have dedicated time with students and staff, and especially students with some of the decisions the council find.
Okay. And we got that bill done related to graduation requirements to set up the committee?
Yes, that went through on the House side, Seliger's committee for
Yeah.
individual graduation committee.
Yes, that's the committee I'm on the Senate side.
Okay, for the individual graduation committees?
Yes. So we got,
That passed out of the
yes,
Senate, right?
yes, it's all done
Okay.
out of the Senate, we send it over to the House.
Yeah, it's gonna have a companion in the House.
And I voted for that, I hope y'all voted for it.
We have time for about 2 more questions.
There's just one back. He did one.
Oh, back there.
I was gonna ask, if you're gonna give those monies away and allow people, are you gonna hold the private sector to the same requirements that you require for the public?
You know, that's all being debated right now and talked about. I'm not exactly sure how that's gonna materialize. Like I said, it's not my legislation. We're gonna have a lot more hearings on that and discussions, and I would prefer that. I mean, to me, I would prefer everybody have a level playing field, and everybody operates the same, whether it's charter schools or public schools. So, but I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know what the end game is, what's gonna happen at the end of how they're gonna.
I think most everybody in here would say they would expect it to be the same for both sides. You shouldn't have two separate systems.
Say-
It shouldn't have to be two separate systems. I think pretty much everybody in this room would say, if you're gonna give those monies, that everybody should meet the same standard.
Great, that would make sense. I concur.
If they fail, they should lose those monies.
Okay.
And maybe one more question?
I was just gonna say, how do they get away with not, reporting to the state tests? Like, how did the private schools get away with not reporting testing? Or not having to do the state test that everyone else does? Is it a legal thing?
The private schools? No, probably because it doesn't involve public money. It doesn't
But
involve.
if we do vouchers.
Yeah, that would be
all
different.
of a sudden it does.
That's what everybody's discussing. I mean, there is a lot of discussion about it. So they're trying to figure that out.
They've done the vouchers, even though they tried, the legislatures have tried to make them, verify, they've been slippery and they haven't really done it, so.
I don't know. To answer your question, there's a lot of different ideas how to do it.
So y'all have to talk to private school people, representatives, or to see how they feel about that, or?
Did you call them? I mean, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
I'm sorry, the private school representatives involved in any of these discussions about the vouchers? I mean, I'm wondering since.
No, I wouldn't. No, it's mainly,
Because if there are vouchers offered and then the private schools aren't gonna comply to any of the rules made by the government, then it's kind of a wash, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, there wasn't any testimony from any private schools or private, yesterday. It wasn't. It was mainly testimony from, the PTA were there, the teachers were there, the policy, a lot of policy wonks. Lots. Some people, education, like me, from all over the country, they came to Austin from all over, because this state, Texas is a big state, obviously, when it comes to education. So we heard lots of education.
Senator Huffines, I hate to cut off great conversation, but we would love to get him in some of our classrooms and see some of our magnet programs. And then we also plan to take him to West to see some of our junior high programs. And so we've got a great group, and if they have questions, I know that we'll just encourage them to be a voice.
You will be
and
hearing
again,
from them.
I heard from a lot yesterday.
But anyway,
Did y'all send all those?
Or might have been mine. Just saying.
How many I got? I'm sitting there,
Yeah,
falling asleep in
several
the
were
committee
mine, I'm
here,
sure.
trying not to fall asleep.
Well, y'all
I am
join me in a
interested.
round of applause for his And as always, we'll keep you up to date and work on getting information back to the board.
You know how many I got? I got over 1,000.
Wow.
I'm gonna do a quick selfie. I'm gonna do something.